Hello ladies, welcome back to the Confidence Club. I am so happy to have you here today, and today's lesson is going to be one that has been ruminating in my mind for so long. I've really been letting the juices flow and feeling into it so that I can explain this to you on a level that really applies to where you're at in this process, and you'll understand when I get into the analogy, because I think it's so valuable to understand this perspective. It's something that I struggled with a lot before this year, and even before the past couple of months. I've been doing so much inner work and it's been paying off so wonderfully, so I'm really grateful for that. And this lesson has been integral to the shifts that I've made. So let's get right into it. I'm hoping to make this one a little bit shorter, a little bit quick and to the point, because I don't think we need to overcomplicate this. So the other day I came up with the idea. So we've all heard of a glass ceiling. And if you haven't, it's the concept that there is a barrier. There's a social barrier. There is a cultural barrier. There is a belief. It used to be that, women were not allowed to be in the workforce. So a woman being in the workforce was a proverbial glass ceiling that got broken. Now we're obviously in an election in America where it's looking like we may very well have a woman as president. And that's a glass ceiling. Obviously, if it doesn't happen, that glass ceiling will not be shattered. So the expression of glass ceiling is due to the nature that when you grow and expand beyond it, it will shatter because it's glass. So it's the concept of we only believe it's the limit because it's so far up there. We can't touch it. We can see it. Oftentimes even you can see through it. So there's even more, and there's a limitless nature all the way up to the sky beyond that glass ceiling. However, you're fixated on the fact that the glass ceiling is the limit for you. Well, I added to that analogy in thinking of a room with a glass ceiling, but the floor is on ground level. And if a flood were to happen, the flood would wipe everything out of the house. And in order to avoid that, when you live in an area that floods, they actually build the homes off the ground just enough for floodwater to pass through safely, comfortably, ideally without damaging the house. That's not always the case. But the concept of raising the floor was really helpful in me putting this imagery together of not only do we want to shatter our own glass ceilings, which is essentially breaking through our limiting beliefs, we want to also raise at the floor or raise our standards. The reason many of you are not yet successful in your manifestation is because you're so focused on the glass ceiling. You feel like it's unreachable, it's so far away, it's up there, how am I going to get it? And even though you may dream that high, you may dream to the ceiling, you may dream beyond the ceiling that you've set for yourself, it still feels so unreachable because your floor, your baseline, your foundation is so low. And what I mean by this is your self-concept is accepting the bare minimum. You're accepting breadcrumbs in love. You're accepting paycheck to paycheck living. You are accepting tons of debt. You're accepting stress and poor treatment and not being the priority and not having the best health, or struggling with a chronic health condition that is really just taking all your joy away, taking all your energy, your life force, your vitality, maybe even taking your ability to have a family away or support your family members or support your community. And this is because you have a belief that that's all you deserve. That's your floor. And so before you think of growing from the floor level to shatter the glass ceiling, I want you to focus on raising the floor. Raise the floor, then break the ceiling. So when we think about raising the floor, when we talk about raising our standards, I want you to ask, why do you believe you only deserve this much? Why do you believe you only deserve this much love? Why do you believe you deserve only this much money? Why do you believe you deserve to live this kind of life? And there's no wrong answer here. This is entirely introspection so that you can become aware of where your baseline is. And once you identify where your baseline is and why that is your baseline, again, why do you feel you deserve, then you can make a conscious decision to raise that floor. And you don't have to raise it 10 feet high, you can raise it an inch at a time. And what this looks like is, okay, my conscious manifestation journey started with my weight loss because I found myself the most frustrated. I was so ashamed, to be honest, about where I was in my health because I was so young. And I'm like, I'm so young, I shouldn't feel this sick. I shouldn't be this drained. I shouldn't be this tired. I shouldn't be this frustrated. I shouldn't be out of breath walking up a flight of stairs or bending over to tie my shoes. I shouldn't have this much struggle like covering my body in clothes that fit my body well and make me feel confident. I shouldn't be so food obsessed. I shouldn't be so self-conscious when I go out. I shouldn't feel the need to hide and cover myself out of insecurity, not out of modesty. And it was that feeling of, wow, I have such low standards for myself. I have such low self-worth that my floor is rock bottom. There's no further down that I could possibly go than this. And it wasn't until I started to say, you know what, I'm worth at least being healthy. If I can't get my money right, if I can't get my love right, at least I can get my health right. So let me invest in programs and invest my time and resources into watching videos to educate myself, reading books to educate myself. Right around that time, I tried several different diets. I had researched keto for a long time. I researched intermittent fasting. I researched low carb, high fat. I researched so many different diets because I was still in a very practical, I have to take action perspective, which is fine because it did end up working out for me. But the point is, I put my focus on a solution. I knew I can't stay here. I have to raise the floor. If it floods while I'm down here, everything I value is going to be gone. That's when they say hitting rock bottom. And when you feel as though in spirituality, we call it a dark night of the soul, or an ego death, shedding of your ego. It's a transformation that often feels really painful and scary, and you can lose everything. And in fact, I did. But it was necessary because I realized that my floor was so low that when the flood came, everything was gone. And so when I inevitably rebuilt my house, I built it with a higher floor. And not only that, over the years now, I have reinforced that floor. I've made it stronger. I have broadened it. I've made it taller. And those analogies, I mean, I have not only grown in one direction towards one goal, I have focused on my mental health, my spiritual health, and my physical health. And with the health success I already had, I maintained it. And with the success such as losing weight and reaching my weight loss goal, I created even more higher goals, which required me to raise my floor again to become that person. And then once I had that solid foundation where my baseline, my floor, my bare minimum in health was reached, I have not gone below that since then. There's been times I've gotten sick. I had fluctuations, my weight went up and down. Obviously things happen, but I always returned to that baseline because the floor is your normal. The floor is your default. And so because my floor is higher now, my ceiling doesn't feel so far away. I actually have goals beyond that original ceiling that I know I am soon to shatter that ceiling and grow even further than I could ever fathom. And that is because I raised the floor. And when you raise the foundation, when you build yourself up, it doesn't feel scary the way that it did before. It feels scary, it feels uncomfortable. You're still going to push yourself, you're still going to try new things, but it won't be painful and it won't feel impossible and it won't feel hopeless. Because when your floor is down here and your ceiling is up here, it feels like you will never get there, so you will not even try. You will quit before you get started. You will build a little bit of momentum, and as soon as you face resistance, you're going to quit because it doesn't feel like it's achievable for you. And ultimately, if your manifestation doesn't feel achievable, it's because you don't believe it is in your heart. And that assumption will create that reality for you. So you just have to decide. We're going to figure out what level our floor is at. We're going to figure out what our ceiling is at. And the ceiling, again, is the limitation. I can only make this much money maximum, and I can survive on this much money and be miserable. And this is where I'm at. And your floor is where you're tolerating. So if you don't understand this yet, look around your circumstances. What are you tolerating in finances and in your position at work? What are you tolerating in love and in family and friendships? What are you tolerating in your health and your wellness in mind, body, spirit? What are you tolerating? That's your floor. Because you won't let yourself go lower than that, at least not right away. Your floor can definitely sink if you're not maintaining it. However, once you're at that rock bottom stage, there's only room for improvement, and that's a beautiful thing. So if that's where you are, perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just where you are. We acknowledge it, we accept it, and then you have the power to decide to not stay there. And I highly encourage you not to stay there, because it's way better living with a strong, sturdy foundation that is closer to your glass ceiling. I intend that this analogy was really helpful for you. And if you have any further questions, you're welcome to leave them in the description box. And don't forget, I do have that discount code for comfort hoodies and loungewear. It is rainy season over here, so I know that if you're on this side of the world, you will benefit from having a nice cozy hoodie. And they also are in support of mental health awareness and positive mental health. They actually do have within one of their collections an affirmation hoodie line, and it is so cute and very positive and what we're all about here on this channel. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.